I wasn't expecting my morning to start with a gun aimed at my face, especially not by a woman, wearing a sundress that screamed Sunday brunch instead of daughter of my enemy. Miami sunlight poured through the wide glass windows of my office, bouncing off the chrome and glass like the city itself was mocking me. I leaned back in my chair, ignoring the fact that she looked like she'd rather set me on fire than talk. "You have 5 seconds to explain what your men were doing at my father's restaurant," she said, voice sharp but trembling just enough to make me notice. Her father. Of course. Vincent Moretti, the man I'd been dismantling piece by piece for months. His daughter was the one standing here, holding a gun with both hands like she'd practiced in a mirror but never pulled the trigger. My men? I smirked just to annoy her. Maybe they were there for the lasagna. She flinched, furious and beautiful, her dark eyes burning holes through my smirk. "You think this is funny?" "Most things are," I said, lowering my voice, especially when they start with a beautiful woman breaking into my office. Her grip tightened. "You ruined my family's business." "Your father ruined himself," I shot back. "I just helped him realize it." The moment stretched, electric and dangerous. She was shaking slightly, but she didn't drop the gun. There was pride in her, stubborn, moral pride that didn't fit in my world of bribes and blood, and for reasons I couldn't explain, I respected it. "Go ahead," I said softly. "If you're going to shoot me, do it. But you should probably know your father started this war." Her eyes wavered. Just a flicker. Enough for me to stand up slowly and push the gun down. "That's better. Now tell me your name before you decide to assassinate me before breakfast." She hesitated, then muttered, "Isabella." "Of course it is," I said, smiling. "You look like trouble wrapped in vowels." Her lips parted in outrage. "You're unbelievable." "Guilty," I said, stepping past her to pour coffee. "You want one?" "You seem tense." "I'm not staying. You're in my office with a gun." "You're staying." I handed her a cup. She glared at it, but took it anyway. Her jaw clenched as she watched me. "You think you're untouchable." "I know I am. It was a lie, of course. But confidence is the currency of my world, and I was filthy rich." When she finally lowered herself into the chair across from me, I could feel the shift. That spark of hatred had thinned, replaced by confusion. Curiosity, maybe. She wasn't used to people talking to her like this. "Why are you smiling?" she snapped. "Because you haven't shot me yet." "That's progress," she sighed, exasperated. "You really think you can joke your way through everything?" "It's worked so far," I said. "Until you." She blinked, caught off guard. Her voice softened. "You think this is a game?" I didn't answer. Instead, I studied her small gold cross necklace, the faint scar on her hand, the careful way she kept her back straight even while sitting in front of me. The daughter of my worst enemy walking into my office like a storm. That's when the door burst open. Rico, my second in command, barged in. "Boss, there's a problem. The Moretti shipment got hit. 3 of our trucks were torched." I froze. So did she. Her father had retaliated faster than expected. And judging by her reaction, wide eyes, pale face, she had no idea. "You didn't know," I said quietly. She shook her head. He wouldn't." "Guess Daddy didn't tell you everything." I turned to Rico. "Get the men to the docks." "I'll handle this." Rico's eyes darted to Isabella. "Handle her, too?" "Leave her," I said. When the door shut, it was just us again, the air between us crackling with mutual suspicion. "I'm not your hostage," she said. "Not yet," I said, then added, "But since you just declared war by walking into my office, you might as well stay until I figure out whether you're part of this or not." She stood. "You can't keep me here." "I can," I said, "and I will. For your safety, of course." Her eyes flashed. "You don't care about my safety." "No," I admitted. "But I care about leverage, and you, Isabella Moretti, are exactly that." The words hung in the air, cold and final. Her voice trembled with fury. "You're disgusting." "Possibly," I said. "But effective." She turned toward the window, staring out at the Miami skyline, the ocean glittering under the heat, the world outside oblivious to our little war. "You know what the problem is with men like you?" she asked. "You think you can control everything." "Only the things worth controlling." Her gaze flicked back to me. "Then you'll never understand people like me." I leaned against the desk. "Try me." She hesitated, studying me like she was trying to find something human beneath the arrogance. You destroy people for power. My father. Maybe he's done bad things, but at least he believes in loyalty. You believe in ownership. That one stung. More than I let on. Loyalty gets you killed, I said flatly. No, she said, standing taller. It keeps you alive. There it was, the moral core. The part of her that believed the world could still be clean. I almost envied it, almost. Then stay alive, Isabella, I said, because your father won't win this war, and I don't want you caught in the crossfire. Her lips tightened. You think I need your protection? Everyone needs protection from me, I said. We stared at each other, silent but charged. Something shifted, barely perceptible but real. Beneath the fury, there was something else forming, a reluctant awareness neither of us wanted to admit. Let me go, she said quietly. I can't. She stepped closer. You think keeping me here makes you strong? It just makes you scared, I almost laughed. Of you? Of what I remind you of. Her words hit like a bullet. I didn't even know why. Maybe because she was right, I took a step back. You're staying until I say otherwise. Her eyes didn't waver. Then I hope you enjoy being hated. Comes with the suit. I turned away before she could see the crack her words had left. When I walked her to the elevator at the end of the day, I expected silence. Instead, she said softly, My father's not the monster you think he is. I didn't answer, because I knew monsters, and her father was one. But as the elevator doors closed and she looked up at me with that defiant spark, I had a terrible, dangerous thought. Maybe she wasn't here to destroy me. Maybe she was here to change me. Then the elevator dinged open again, and two of my men burst in, pale and breathless. Boss, one said, the Morettis just put a price on your head, and Isabella's face went white. I smiled grimly. Well, I said, looks like you're not going anywhere now. Her voice was barely a whisper. What are you going to do? I stepped closer, my voice low. Keep my enemy's daughter safe, whether she likes it or not. Her breath caught as I added, Congratulations, Isabella. You just became the only person in Miami I can't afford to lose. And for the first time, she didn't look like she hated me. She looked scared for both of us. That was the moment I realized this war was about to get personal. The guest house wasn't exactly a prison, but she looked at it like one. Isabella stood by the big glass doors that opened to my pool, arms crossed, sunlight cutting across her hair like gold threads. She'd been here for 2 days, and the silence was louder than gunfire. I leaned against the kitchen counter, coffee in hand. You keep staring out there like the view's gonna open up and swallow you. She didn't turn. Maybe it will if I'm lucky, I smirked. You're not my prisoner. Then why is your man guarding the gate? Because someone just tried to blow up my car, sweetheart. I sipped my coffee. Welcome to the glamorous life of organized crime. She finally turned, arms still folded. You find that funny? No, I find it predictable. Her eyes met mine, sharp and unwavering. You could stop this, you know. The fighting. The power games, just... Stop, I laughed softly. You think this world runs on goodwill? That's cute. I think you like pretending you don't have a choice, she said. That one landed like a jab. She had a way of slicing through my calm. Tell me, I said, stepping closer. What do you actually know about choice, Isabella? You grew up with servants and silk sheets while your father put bullets in people like me. She flinched but didn't back down. You're just like him. Maybe, I said, but I don't hide behind morality while I do it. Her jaw tightened. At least he believes in loyalty. Loyalty's what gets men killed in this city. She walked past me, brushing my arm lightly. Maybe you've just never been loyal to anyone but yourself. That stopped me, because it was true, and I hated that she saw it so easily. The days bled together. She cooked in my kitchen, read my newspapers, ignored my jokes, and yet somehow invaded my every thought. I'd catch her humming when she thought I wasn't listening, barefoot on the marble floor, sunlight turning her into something I didn't deserve. Rico teased me once. Boss, you're turning soft. Keep talking and I'll turn you into concrete, I said, but even he could see the truth. I was changing. One afternoon, she found me in the courtyard going through files. She sat opposite me, eyes narrowed. You've been tracking my father's moves. Occupational hazard. You don't trust me. Would you if our positions were reversed? She hesitated. No, but I wouldn't keep someone captive either. I looked up. You're safe here. You can leave whenever you want, her brow furrowed. Really? I nodded. Just tell me where you'll go. I'll have my men follow you to make sure you don't get shot before I do. Her lips curved in reluctant amusement. You ruin every decent moment. I try, I said. It's a talent. But her smile, brief, uncertain, lingered in my chest long after she walked away. The next morning, chaos came dressed as sunlight. I was in the garden, taking a call about the Moretti retaliation, when I heard her shout from inside. I ran in to find her gripping the phone, eyes wide. They called, she said breathlessly. They said if I'm with you, I'm as good as dead. I snatched the phone. Deadline. Who was it? A voice I didn't know. But they knew my name. That meant someone from her father's crew had turned. And they were using her to bait me. You're not leaving the house, I said. Her chin lifted. You can't decide that for me. I can, I snapped. Because you just became the easiest way to hurt me. Her expression softened for a moment, and I hated how much that look mattered. You really think they'd use me? She asked quietly. I think they already are. We didn't talk much after that, but the silence wasn't cold anymore. It was heavy. Mutual awareness had replaced hate. Every time she passed by, my focus broke. Every time she met my eyes, something wordless sparked between us. That evening, she found me on the balcony staring at the Miami skyline bleeding gold into the ocean. You ever get tired of pretending you're made of steel? She asked. I glanced at her. You ever get tired of thinking you can fix broken things? She walked closer. You're not broken, I huffed a laugh. Sweetheart, I'm the definition. She stood beside me, arms brushing mine. You don't scare me. That's because you don't know me. I think I do, she said softly. You're lonely, I turned to her. You're overconfident. Maybe. But I'm not wrong. Something about the way she said it, so calm, so sure, made the wall crack a little more. Don't get attached. Isabella. Too late, she said quietly, eyes searching mine. My pulse jumped. I stepped back, needing air, needing distance. You shouldn't say things like that. Why? Because it makes you feel something? Her words lingered in the space between us, reckless and real. And for a second, I wanted to close the gap and prove her right. But I didn't. I couldn't. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept thinking about her voice, her defiance, her eyes that didn't flinch when she looked at me. The next day, the world reminded me what I was. Rico burst in mid-afternoon. Boss, we found out who hit the docks. Who? He hesitated. Moretti's second son. Luca. He's trying to take over. I froze. Luca Moretti. Isabella's brother. She walked in right then, hearing her brother's name, eyes wide. No, that can't be. It is, I said. He's moving product through your family's old warehouses. She shook her head in disbelief. He wouldn't betray my father. I handed her the photos, grainy shots of Luca shaking hands with a rival crew. Her face crumbled. She sat down slowly, staring at them. Why are you showing me this? Because you deserve the truth, I said. Her voice broke. You think this makes me hate you less? No, I said. But maybe it makes you see why I don't trust anyone. She looked up at me then, eyes bright with tears she refused to shed. You still think you're the only one bleeding in this war? The silence after that was brutal. She left the room and I didn't follow. Later I found her by the pool again, staring at nothing. I sat down beside her. I'm sorry, I said quietly. For what? For being right, she let out a small broken laugh. You're impossible. I've heard worse. She turned her head, eyes red. You ever wish you'd met me somewhere else? Somewhere normal? I thought about it. The idea almost hurt. Yeah, I said. But then I wouldn't have noticed you. Her smile was faint, but it was there. She whispered, You're not what I expected. I get that a lot. Then she looked straight at me and said, You could stop all this, you know. The war, the blood. You have that power. Stopping means surrendering. Maybe it means winning differently. Her words clung to me, like sunlight that wouldn't fade. The next morning, everything went wrong. A car pulled up outside the gate. I thought it was one of my men. It wasn't. 2 seconds later, gunfire ripped through the air. Down, I shouted, pulling her to the floor as bullets shattered the glass doors. Rico fired back, shouting orders. When the shooting stopped, I helped her up. Her hands were shaking. Are you hurt? She shook her head. Who was that? I already knew. Luca. He wasn't aiming for me. He was aiming for her. I called the guards, my voice cold and sharp. Lock the property. No one in or out, Isabella looked at me pale. You're blaming me for this. I'm blaming the world for giving me a reason to care about you, I said. Her eyes glistened. You think caring is weakness? I know it is. She stepped closer, her hand brushing my arm, tentative, trembling. Then be weak for once. Before I could think, she kissed me. Soft, desperate, real, and for one impossible second, I let myself believe I could have her. Then Rico burst in. Boss, you need to see this. He handed me a photo, fresh from a contact. Isabella's brother again, this time with my own accountant. My stomach dropped, my business, my empire. My life, compromised, and the girl standing in front of me was still his sister. I looked at her, heart pounding. Isabella, I said quietly, did you know? Her confusion looked real, but I couldn't tell anymore. Know what? That he's been using you to get to me. Her face went white. No, I swear I didn't. I turned away, too angry to think straight. You shouldn't have come into my world, her voice cracked. You brought me into it. When I finally faced her again, she was crying, but defiant. You said you wanted to protect me, she whispered. Guess you lied. Then she was gone, out the door, past the guards before I could stop her. Rico swore under his breath. Boss, what now? I stared after her, jaw tight. Now? Now the war wasn't about territory anymore. It was about her. And this time, I wasn't sure which side I was on. Miami looked too bright for heartbreak. The sun was vicious that morning, reflecting off the white rooftops and the polished cars like it didn't care what it exposed. Every corner of this city had my fingerprints on it, every deal, every betrayal, but somehow she'd slipped through them all. Isabella Moretti was gone. Rico stood in the doorway of my office, grim. We tracked her phone. She's at her father's villa. Of course she was. Back where it all started. Let her go, he said carefully. It's a setup. You know that, I stared out the window. Yeah, I know, he sighed. You're not gonna listen, are you? No, I said. Not this time. The truth was, I'd spent the night replaying her words, the way she'd said I brought her into my world. She was right. Every decision I'd made since she walked into my office with that gun had been about control. And control was just another name for fear. By noon, I was driving south along the coast, the heat rolling through the open windows. The villa sat on a hill overlooking the bay, white marble and iron gates guarding decades of corruption. It was her father's empire, and the place where every line I'd drawn would finally blur. The guards at the gate didn't even get a warning. 2 minutes later, I was walking through the courtyard, gun at my side, the sound of waves faint against the hum of cicadas. Vincent Moretti waited inside, glass of bourbon in hand, surrounded by his men. He looked older than I remembered, softer around the edges, but his eyes were still sharp enough to cut through lies. Well, he said, smiling faintly, the king of Miami himself, come to negotiate. Came for your daughter, I said. He laughed once. She's not yours. She was never yours either. The air shifted. Guns lifted. I didn't flinch. Where is she? I asked. Safe, he said. Until you leave my city. I stepped closer. You really think she wants to be safe here? You think she hasn't seen what this life does to people? He tilted his head. You talk like a man in love. Maybe I am. The room went still. He set down his drink. Then she's already your weakness, I smiled thinly. No, Vincent. She's my reason. That's when the door opened and she appeared, tired, pale, but still standing tall. Her eyes found mine instantly, a flicker of something between fury and relief. Go home, she said. You shouldn't be here. Too late, I said softly. This is home now, her father looked at her. You see, Bella? This is what men like him do. They take what isn't theirs. Stop, she said. You're both the same, fighting over power like it means anything. I looked at her, and the realization hit like a punch. She wasn't choosing either of us. She was done with the war. Then came the sound that changed everything, a single gunshot outside. Chaos exploded. Men shouted. Windows shattered. And through the open doors I saw Luca, her brother, charging in with half a dozen soldiers. Vincent's voice roared, "Luca, stand down!" But Luca wasn't listening. His eyes were wild. "You're both finished. The city's mine now." I grabbed Isabella's arm and pulled her behind a pillar as bullets tore through the room. Her breath came fast, trembling. "Stay down," I said. "Are you crazy?" she hissed. "You'll get killed." Wouldn't be the first time someone tried. When the shooting stopped for half a second, I stepped out, fired twice, and dropped 2 of Luca's men. The others ducked behind cover. Then Luca shouted, "You should have stayed out of this, Romano." "Hard to do," I called back, "when your family keeps trying to shoot me." The next moment blurred into noise and smoke. Vincent took a hit to the shoulder. One of his men fell. I saw Luca aiming again, this time at Isabella. Instinct overruled reason. I moved before I could think. The bullet grazed my side instead of her. Pain flared like fire, but I stayed standing. "Why?" she cried. "Because I'd rather die for you than watch you get caught between us," I said through my teeth. That broke something in her. She turned toward her brother, eyes blazing. "Stop this. You're destroying everything Dad built." Luca hesitated, gun shaking slightly. "He destroyed it, Bella. I'm saving what's left." "By killing him?" she shouted. "By killing me?" He faltered, and that second was enough. Vincent staggered up, blood on his shirt, and aimed his gun at his son. "Don't," Isabella said, stepping between them. Her voice was steady. "No more." I watched her. This girl who'd walked into my office to avenge her father and ended up standing between them both, fearless and broken and perfect in her defiance. Vincent's hand trembled. "Move, Bella!" "No," I raised my gun, low and calm. "Put it down, both of you." Silence. The kind that felt like it could shatter at any breath. Luca sneered. "You think you can fix this, Romano? You think she'll forgive you for killing her family?" "I'm not here to kill anyone," I said. "I'm here to end it." I dropped my gun on the marble floor. The sound echoed through the room. Vincent looked at me like I'd lost my mind. "What are you doing?" "Something you never could," I said. "Choosing peace." Then I turned to Isabella. "You said I could stop this." "That I had the power." Her eyes filled, but she nodded. "So I am," I said. It was Luca who made the next move. He lunged, gun raised, but this time Vincent fired first. The shot was clean, final. Luca fell, eyes wide in shock, then still. Isabella screamed. The sound hollowed out the room. She dropped to her knees beside her brother, shaking. Vincent fell back into a chair, face gray with pain. I stood there, blood seeping from my side, feeling every ounce of the weight she'd carried. When she finally looked up at me, there was no hate left. "Only grief. Was this your version of peace?" she whispered. "No," I said quietly. "It's the price of it." Paramedics came later. Police never did. People like us handled our own endings. Vincent was taken to a doctor under guard. Luca's body disappeared before the sun set. I stayed until the courtyard was empty. Isabella stood beside the fountain, the wind tugging her hair. "You should go," she said softly. "You've done enough." "I can't." She looked at me then, eyes red but steady. "You lost everything today." "Not everything," I said. "I still have the truth." "What truth?" "That I love you." Her breath caught, barely audible. "You don't even know what that means." "Maybe not," I said. "But I know it feels a lot like bleeding and still wanting to stand next to you." She blinked away tears. "You can't love me. I'm his daughter. And I made you my bride," I said, voice raw, "at least in every way that mattered." She shook her head. "We don't belong in the same world." "Then let's build a new one." She laughed through her tears. "You make it sound so easy." "Nothing worth it ever is." For a long moment, neither of us moved. The city hummed below, loud and bright and indifferent. Finally, she stepped closer, resting her hand against my chest where the bandage pressed against my ribs. "You're really hurt," she whispered. "I've been worse," I said. Usually inside. Her lips quirked faintly. "Still trying to joke through everything?" "It's my survival instinct." Then she said the one thing I never expected to hear. "I'm not leaving Miami," I blinked. "You're staying?" "Yes, my father's in no condition to run anything anymore. Someone has to clean up the mess you both made." "Someone like you," I said. "Someone who still believes it can be better," she replied. I nodded slowly. "Then let me help." "You've done enough damage, Enzo. I've also done enough wrong to want to make it right." She studied me for a long time, then exhaled. If you stay, it can't be as the boss. Not as the man who owns this city. I don't want to own anything anymore, I said. Just earn something real. She gave a small, uncertain smile. Then start by earning me. I smiled back, faint and tired. That's the plan. We stood there in the fading light. The war behind us, the world ahead, later. As I walked her to the car, I caught her glancing at me with that same spark she'd had the first day. Defiant. Alive, impossible to ignore. What are you thinking? I asked. She smirked. That I still hate your arrogance. I chuckled. Good. It'll keep things interesting. When she got into the car, she paused, window rolled halfway down. You really would have died for me? Would have been a better ending than most I've had, I said. She shook her head, smiling through her tears. You're impossible, Enzo Romano. Yeah, I said, but I'm yours. The car pulled away, dust kicking up in the heat. I watched it until it disappeared over the hill. Miami glittered below, loud and unrepentant. The city would keep spinning, the deals would keep happening, and someone else would eventually sit where I once sat. But me, I was done ruling empires built on fear. I touched the scar on my side, the reminder of what it cost to stop fighting. I wasn't expecting my ego to get wrecked by a girl in a sundress holding a gun, and I sure as hell wasn't expecting her to save my soul with it. If you felt every heartbeat of this story, the danger, the longing, and the redemption, don't just stop here. Hit subscribe, drop a comment telling me your favorite moment between Luca and Elena, and share this with someone who loves a powerful enemies to lovers twist. More Playboy Mafia boss stories are coming.